Well, right to self-defense, of course, directly pertinent to the Stand Your Ground law in the United States. Interesting to hear the Attorney General playing gutter politics when he said that, you know, we must readdress these concepts. It's not a concept, it's a law. And implied, if not stated, that because black people are suffering. We know by statistics, and in fact, African Americans, black men, use this law and are made safer because of it in enormous numbers in the state of Florida and elsewhere. But we're going to show you in a few moments a video of what happened in Calgary. Ross McLean is a crime specialist. That doesn't mean he's committed it. It means he was a police officer, and you've got a private security service now, haven't you?
I looked after the rich and famous people in the past, and now I do work in consulting on that.
Marvelous.
Yes.
Will you kill people for me?
No, okay. I'm not G.
Right.
Gordon Liddy.
Just wondered. Now, let's play this now, please. There's no sound, so we'll talk over it. This happened in Calgary. And as you will see, there is two guys in hoodies wearing the uniform of criminals, and they're like a crowbar, isn't it?
A couple of crowbars to threaten, as you just saw right there, and to smash the cases so that they can steal the jewelry.
And, you know, never take a crowbar to a baseball fight, I suppose, because you can't see what's happening on the right-hand side. But there you go. He's just been hit with a baseball bat. One of the guys who works there has hit him beautifully. If only the Blue Jays had him, might win a game or two. Hit him over there, straight down. Superb. Home run. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to show all of it, but the other guy runs out after, another angle there. This is better than TSN and way cheaper. So he's on the floor, and are you okay? No, quite clearly. So there's another guy with a chair. Other people are getting involved. He runs off. And there's an added dimension because there are some firefighters apparently over the road, across the street, who were doing something or other, that they then get involved. Now, this guy manages to get to his feet. He doesn't look too wise at this point. You know, he's considering running for the Liberal nomination in the riding, and give him a good kicking while he's down. That's the way. Is all this, doing that, is that reasonable force at this point?
Well, you know what you get into here, Michael? You get into the interpretation of what's reasonable force. And the firefighters did an outstanding job here. Look, I've just talked about video more recently where the Toronto police were doing the same thing, and it didn't look nearly as kind as the way the firefighters were doing it.
No.
But, you know, the criminal code uses the same use of force section for citizens as it does for police. But it's not usually enforced that way, Michael. Exactly. It's usually enforced if you're a citizen doing it.
There's another firefighter. There's another firefighter.
Yeah, they did
There could be a house burning down about 2 streets away. Forget it, guys. You're going to die. So this has become high profile and iconic now in popular culture. Aren't they great? But you know, there are police services. There are some crowns who would want to lay charges.
Oh, we have charges here, recent ones here, where there were 2 brothers in the city of town of York, just above Toronto here. They found 3 guys breaking into their garage. They went in the middle of the night. 2 of them ran off. They fought with one. The police came. They're both up on charges now. You know, we had a restaurateur here called the Spice Man. People can look him up. The Sun's covered it extensively.
Famous, yeah.
He's charged for same thing, defending.
Is he still charged?
It's still up before the courts. It's getting put over. And last I heard, he had a business where he was trying to get a liquor license. Then they wouldn't give it to him because of this, and he might have lost that other restaurant because of these charges. So we really need to have more of a look, Michael, almost a preliminary hearing into some of these ones as to whether the force used is reasonable. And I would argue the place to start with this is let's compare it to the same use of force that police have, because we've got lots of cases on that where they're investigated. And the police are allowed to use force when they have people being assaultive towards them, just like this gentleman here used.
Yeah. Now, in this case, this is a guy who is working all hours. It's almost cliche, but it's absolutely true. Working all hours to try and keep a business together. There's a habitual criminal who's been charged time and time again and convicted. He's calling the cops. The cops are not doing very much. There are tickets to give out to mums who are driving 5 clicks over the limit. So they're not doing too much. He takes the law into his own hand. He probably goes a little bit too far. He gets the guy, he ties the guy up, waits for the cops charge him. But even worse, the cops then say to this career criminal, if you give evidence against him, the law-abiding citizen, then we'll go easy on you. Frankly, I think race was an issue. His English wasn't great. But the police have changed their nature. There was a time when cops could tell immediately, you were way too rough with that guy, or That's okay, you were reasonable. They seem to have lost all sense of proportion now.
Well, there are things that have changed, and I've talked about this a little bit before. You know that the father of modern-day policing is Sir Robert Peel.
Yep.
And I would encourage anybody, any of your viewers, to look up Sir Robert Peel and his laws on
The
policing.
Tamworth Manifesto. Have you read it? It's very boring.
I don't know the Tamworth one, if that's the name of it, but I know that what Sir Robert Peel said, look, the police are the people and the people are the police.
Yeah.
Meaning you're in this together. You're not against me. You know, the citizens and the cops are supposed to work together to make the community
When did we lose
safe.
that? You were a cop. You know cops have now become agents of the state, not guardians of the people. Not all, but a lot of younger cops, they don't care. They're obeying orders, raising money. If you in any way cause me a problem, you're the one in trouble.
It changed a lot with the terrorism, because what happened was, particularly in the States, and it bled over up here, the Joint Chiefs of Staffs actually had a meeting back in the just after 2000 or so, and they had predictions that said the terrorism is going to come in the future from homebound people, so we better militarize our police. We better militarize our police and teach them military tactics to how to deal with this. And it was a thought process, but in there, something's become lost, that the citizens are there with you. You're on the same side as opposed to against, Michael.
About 10, 15 years ago now, a cop, and if he's watching, you'll know exactly who it is, I knew him for some time, he once said to me, he said, look, if anyone, I was on the radio at the time, if someone doesn't like what you say and you think do whatever you want to do to stop them and hurt them and lie afterwards. That's what he said to me, and lie afterwards. Is that an advice that you wouldn't do it on air, but is that advice that's given to people these days?
To the police officers?
No, to ordinary people. Do whatever you have to do and lie afterwards?
You know, I don't know that maybe somebody might suggest that in some places or say it. I think what the right approach would be, and I've been in similar situations where a storekeeper got in a fight with a guy and he bust the guy's nose when he hit him. And I said, look, if the guy comes back, call me about that. But you know what? Getting a busted nose for coming in and fight with the storekeeper, I don't think that that's out of line. I don't think that's unreasonable.
But you know, frequently, in Toronto at least, there would be charges. And the criminal, he has nothing, he couldn't care less, but the guy who's tried to defend himself or his property, he'll have to get a lawyer, cost him a fortune, time off, reputation damage, the stress.
You're talking probably a $30,000 bill for a decent lawyer to take you there. But you know,
decent lawyer? I'm not unfamiliar with the phrase.
A good one. You want to listen when it's your career, because you know what? Guess what? Now you can't even cross the border and things like that. So there's other issues. That's just if you're charged. You know, I really think that we need in some of these cases an earlier intervention of a preliminary investigation where you get to say, look, before we go with the charges, let's get a couple of Crown attorneys to look at this and agree. Well, is this where we want to spend
Or maybe
the
you
time?
just want cops of common sense who say, you got a broken nose. That's because you tried to rob that store. Don't do it again. You've learned your lesson. But maybe those times have been lost. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Michael.